And now your host, Shelly Sanders.
Good afternoon, Facebook fam. Good afternoon, and welcome to Conversations with Shelly. My name is Michelle Sanders, better known as Shelly, and I am your host for today's conversation. Now, how is everybody doing on this beautiful afternoon? I hope everybody's doing great. I don't know about you guys, but I'm so excited because I'm here in Progress Village in Tampa, Florida, and I'm so excited because the Buccaneers are on the map, baby. Yes, they're playing the Green Bay Packers, and from what I understand, we are winning right now. And I know everybody saying, Michelle, it's a little bit early. It's in quarter 3. But you know what? Listen. I believe that we're going to take this home. Yes, I do. And I believe that we're going to be here. Tampa Bay, we're hosting the Super Bowl with Tampa Bay playing. The Buccaneers playing in it. Hey, why not? All right now. So listen. I'm so excited. And I'm excited about our show this afternoon as well. And you guys know that we've been doing a series here. I told you guys at the beginning of the year, we're going to talk about our money and we're going to talk about our finances. And so our series is called Money Matters. Yes, Money Matters. And last week we had an awesome guest, talked about our financial management and how we can budget and how we can save. And so basically, really, we're looking to have a workshop with Mary to be able to come back and have a workshop. And we're going to look at doing something in March or April. So stay tuned and listen out for that. But in the meantime, I would like for you guys to like and to share and like. So make sure, Facebook fam, that you go out to your social media platforms, whatever platform that is, and make sure you share it. And the first 5 that go out and like and share and come back into the comment section and type in your name, you will have an opportunity to win a prize. Yes, a 3-day, 2-night getaway. Yes, I am a travel agent as well. Yes, and my travel agency, Excite Me Travel Excursions, will be excited to be able to award you that 3-day, 2-night for free. Yes. All right, guys, so let's talk about it. That's what we do here at Conversations with Shelly. So yes, today, Money Matters, Go Fund You. Not Go Fund Me, but Go Fund You. So guys, I wanted to talk about Go Fund You instead of Go Fund Me because we already know GoFundMe is the application that allows for donating. And a lot of times what we've seen in our community is when we insurance, a loved one passes away, which is already devastating. It is already weighing on us. To lose that loved one, but the fact that there's no insurance to be able to bury that loved one is an additional burden. And so what we want to do is be proactive. And when you learn better, you know better, you do better. And so what we're doing here in Conversations with Shelly is bringing you information that will allow you to have knowledge. And knowledge is power, yes, but is what you do with the knowledge and how you apply it that can determine what the result will be. So with that, Money Matters, Go Fund You. So instead of someone funding me or funding you because of decisions or priorities that you did not make, and sometimes you just didn't have the income to do so, we're going to talk about how you can financially plan and how you can go fund you. You can be proactive and go fund you as it relates to insurance, as it relates to savings, as it relates to retirement planning. And yes, we have an awesome guest that's with us today that has expertise in all 3 of those areas. So with that, as you guys know, I like to read a bio so you can have a base understanding of who we're bringing on. So, Facebook fam, I'm introducing today Deliza is a registered financial representative with Western and Southern Financial Group with a Series 6 finance license. Deliza, she has hosted a number of family financial literacy educational seminars, and she actually hosted a seminar here at Conversations with Shelly, Soul Cafe last year sometime. I think it was in the middle of last year. She was able to come out. This was before things started shutting down, and she was able to come and share some great information in that workshop, and she's back here today to share this great information with you. Of course, she is a 2-time published author and an administrator of the fast-growing Facebook group Family Financial Hotline, and she'll talk a little bit about that. She also finds time to share an encouraging word with followers on her Instagram account at Sister Elizee. So with that, Facebook fam, please give me a great welcome. listen, anything else you want to share with Facebook about you? I know we read a little bit of your bio, but just talk a bit, a little bit about family, anything you want to share, so the Facebook fam will get to know a little bit more about you.
Well, about me, I was born and raised in Lakeland, Florida. No, we don't have an NFL team, but I adopted the Bucks, and we're definitely going to win this evening. I enjoy what I do. I enjoy working with people, young people. I find that, working in the community, you get to see the entire spectrum of life, from, a newborn baby shower, all the way to the final ceremonies that a family does for their deceased loved ones. And so with that, you get to experience all of life with them in a week span, because I live 5 days at a time, Monday through Friday, and I always enjoy what I do for people, helping them to gain access to things that they didn't know that they had, and helping them to gain access to things that they already built.
All right, I like that, already built. So talk to me a little bit. When I was looking at your bio, there's a couple of things we had talked about pre-show. You talked here about having a Series 6 financial license.
Yes.
Break that down. What does that encompass?
Okay, so a Series 6 finance license, it is where I am registered as a financial representative with the Financial Industry Regulatory Authority, also known as FINRA. Basically, it gives me the license to help individuals get financial products for themselves. Things like mutual funds, where you can buy stocks and bonds, things like 529 college savings plans for the little ones, and things such as indexed annuities.
All right, so Facebook fam, you guys know how we do here at Conversation with Shelly. We like to break it down, and we like to make sure everybody is aligned and understanding the terminology. So, Deliza, I'm going to ask you to break down a couple of things.
Okay.
So, mutual funds,
Yes.
talked about the 529 college saving plan, and then also index annuities. So, talk to us and break that down so the audience can understand those three things.
All right, so let's start with mutual funds. Basically, a mutual fund is a way for everyday people can invest in very large companies. Oftentimes people would love to invest, but they think that they need $1 million right off the bat to do something. But with many companies, including my company, if you were to start putting like $100 away into a mutual fund, it can be applied to any company, such from Google to Pfeiffer to Amazon, Microsoft, all the big name companies that are very popular, home companies. But then there are certain companies out there that many people don't know about. Things like Acer or some of the foreign markets or Forex markets. And that's something that people are quite interested in, but they don't want to go at it alone. And we recommend that you don't go at it alone unless you've had extensive training. And so the best way to go about investing all around the world is to seek a financial advisor with a Series 6 or with a Series 7 or a Series 63. The numbers, they're, at first they seem arbitrary, but for example, someone with a Series 63 can manage people who have a Series 6 like myself.
And then index annuities?
So indexed annuities, basically, an index annuity is a financial account that is applied to the stock market. The S&P 500 or other indexes such as that, maybe the Chicago index, maybe the Euro index. And this is where they can put either a large lump sum of money or they can put a little money in at a time. And so that would be applied to those investment indexes. And so they want to start pulling from that financial account right away. We call that an immediate annuity. But say they want to pull from it maybe a year to 10 years from now, then we call that a deferred annuity. So it's money that you put in that's being applied to the stock market, that it's performing as the stock market's performing, and then little by little or all at one time, you get to take that money out again.
So I like that. You get to take that money out.
Yeah. You don't hold your money hostage.
So investing is about is preparing yourself for the future. So investing is about being able to make that money grow, right?
Yes.
Being able to make the money grow so you'll be able to have enough money to do certain things that you would like to do. So thank you for giving us and breaking those definitions down. One other thing you had mentioned here as far as your family financial hotline.
Yes.
And then you also, you're an author as well.
Yes, I am.
So Facebook fam, yes, we have an author. So, I mean, Deliza, it goes back to our author series because we had earlier last year, at the end of last year, we had author series and we had authors to come on. So this is a continuation. So Facebook fam, make sure you purchase her book. She has the information. I'm sure our production team is sharing that information. Millennial Marketing. Marketing. Talk to us a little bit about that, because you mentioned about young people and having a heart
Yes,
for young people.
absolutely.
So what did you do with this book here to help our young people understand finances and marketing?
This is very interesting. Millennial marketing is actually not for young adults. It's for individuals who are seeking young adults as consumers as well as employees. So this basically helps to introduce them to the millennial tribe. Our languages, our likes, our dislikes, why we buy, why we don't buy, why we shop with partners, or why we shop individually for certain items. So it helps multi-level business leaders attract young adults to grow their business, whether it's from the inside out as employees or the outside in as customers.
I like that, because when I was looking through it, I actually you can download this on Kindle as well, Facebook fam. So, and I'm taking this course called Digital Marketing, so which is exciting. I really like when I started looking at your habits and, habits as far as young adults and knowing how to target. So it's about marketing and targeting and knowing how to target so you can be able to sell, right?
To millennials. Or young adults. Some people think the word millennial is a dirty word, but I put it on there to grab a little attention. But young adults, Z generation, XY generation, but it's basically individuals who are not quite starting families. They're on the edge of that and younger. Yeah.
So Facebook fam, you guys are in for a treat. We just got started, and I tell you, the information and knowledge that this young lady just spit out is already powerful. So if you take that just a little bit, you'll be able to start your road of success as far as financial freedom and planning for your retirement, and also saving and investing. But the other part is for his insurance. So guys, we're going to get into it, and we're going to talk more about it. And so Deliza is going to talk to us about 3 areas that she highlighted as she goes through her financial workshop. And those 3 areas: an overview of insurance, retirement planning, and also saving and investing. And before we get there, one of the things I really, when it comes to insurance and then retirement and planning, when I was talking to your colleague and manager, let me make sure I got it correct, Philip Staples, one of the things we were talking about is insurance and planning, being able to be proactive and plan for our future.
Absolutely.
And I know, guys, I'm sitting here, and I don't mind telling my age. I'm 55 years old, but I remember in my 20s, when I was in my early 20s, there was I was introduced to insurance and told different things I should do at my job as far as investing in 401k, but also having outside insurance, death term insurance, as well, and doing some other types of investments, IRAs, etc. But I remember getting that information and acting on it, even though I didn't understand a lot of it. I was like, okay, I want to make sure that I'm financially set. So I followed the wisdom that was given to me by someone who knew what was going on in this area and in this industry. And that's helped me now, as I'm older, looking at retirement, to be able to make sure I have a good portfolio and have what I need to be able to retire. And thank your boss, Philip, as well, because I have insurance with your company, Western.
Western and Southern.
Financial Group. So I have policy with you guys and some investment with you guys. And so he helped me to create another stream, right? As far as to make sure that I have enough streams of income to be able to take care of myself as I retire and be able to live comfortably. So with that, you're talking about the insurance piece and retirement. And one of the things him and I were talking about was, you have to take care of yourself.
Yes, you do.
These companies, as we've looked with the pandemic and jobs have shut down, and we don't have certain kind of benefits that we used to have before. Facebook fam, you got to make sure that you are taking care of yourself. Go fund you. There's a way to go fund you by being able to be invest in your own self. By getting insurance and making sure your retirement and your savings is there. You can fund yourself and make sure that you're set, right? And so when we talked about that, is that you're basically on your own, because you can be with a company today and they're shut down, and where are you? And if you haven't done certain things, then you're out, right? And so let's take advantage of it now. So talk to us a little bit about the insurance piece of it, and then we'll flow into the next 2 parts. Okay,
so insurance. A lot of people, they hear the I word and they turn away immediately. But basically, insurance is buying money now for the future. A lot of people see it as a trust fund for the middle class and working class people. Many people don't have the financial backing right now to leave $1 million for their children and loved ones when they do pass. But with a life insurance policy, that's very possible. Anything from, say, $50 a month in a life insurance policy or less can gain your loved ones that you do leave behind with financial means, so they can pay off the house, so they can pay off any remaining bills, the food bill, pay for the children's education, all the things that they really want to do. And of course, it's not going to replace you, but it will definitely replace the missing income that likely arises when a person passes away without that very much needed insurance.
Listen, I like that you're talking about $50 or less, and I think even last week we talked about this with Mary. That's like a cable bill.
Yes.
Right? That could be a cable bill. That could be a phone bill. That could be those things that we really can do without.
Right.
You know, to make sure that we have insurance to secure our family. You know, for that missing. I like how you said that missing income that will be there. Definitely, the loss is going to be felt. But then on top of that, having the loss and not having the finances to be able to move forward.
So much stress.
It's a lot of stress on that. Wow. So you were talking here on this one about with the insurance permanent versus, can you get a little bit into the permanent versus term, cash value, and then I think you had here accidental death and critical illness as well.
All right. Well, we got to the purpose of insurance. That's to make sure that your financial or that your loved ones are financially stable upon your passing. Well, there's permanent insurance and there's term insurance. Those are the two main types. Term insurance lasts for a specific number of years, anywhere from some policies are 5 years up to 30 years. And permanent policies, they never expire. They last for the rest of your life, however long you live. So those are the two types of insurances. And then there's something called cash value, which is only for the permanent insurance policies. And so cash value is basically an emergency line of credit that's attached to your life insurance policy that can be borrowed from while you're still living and when you need it. Say a hurricane comes by and the insurance, your house insurance won't cover it. So you need to go out of pocket or pay a partial, down payment for that. Then you can dip into your life insurance's cash value in order to make up for the difference. Or say, your grandchild wants a brand new car and they're responsible and they're going to take care of it. And so you grab a few $1,000s out of your life insurance policy cash value and you put it toward the down payment of that child's vehicle. It's your money. We're not going to lock it up. It's something that is incredibly valuable to a person who has a permanent life insurance policy. And even individuals who have certain types of permanent policies, their cash value can be up to $400,000 by the time they reach retirement. And that's what we call a retirement-funded life insurance policy. And that's something that is very popular these days. A lot of individuals see Social Security, and many people believe that it's not going to be enough. They see what their company is matching at the 401k. They see how they lost their job. They're going into work for themselves. The hustle becomes the main thing all of a sudden. And so the life insurance funded retirement plans are definitely growing in popularity.
You mentioned the cash value is towards borrowing. So
yes,
when you're saying borrowing, usually if you're borrowing something, you have to pay it back.
Correct.
So
yes.
How does that work? So if you're going to borrow that cash value, how does it work as far as paying it back?
So for example, say you had $10,000 in cash value in your life insurance policy and you took out $5,000. Then you can slowly pay back that $5,000 little by little in your regular monthly premium payments at a small interest, maybe like 7.8 or 8%. Yeah.
So also you highlighted here, Deliza, accidental death and critical illness.
Yes.
Share a little bit about that with us.
Okay, so accidental death insurance, many individuals, back in like the 1950s, when parents bought life insurance policies for their children, it was usually an accident plan. It was a large benefit but for very little money, because the thinking back then was if a child were to pass away before the age of 30, it was usually because of an accident. So that's the popularity of accident insurance. It only pays out if an individual passes away from something not related to health issues. A couple of examples are things such as car accidents. Unfortunately, usually it's a car accident that would be the accidental death. Other things such as, say someone were to pass away in public transportation, whether it's a train, an Uber, taxi, subway, a city bus, even an airplane, then the accidental death policy would pay out. Even things as terrible as homicide are considered an accident, and it would pay out as well. And also, say for example, a person were to have an accident plan and they reach age 65 and they don't pass away from an accident, then all the premiums that they paid into that policy will be refunded back to that insured individual.
Oh, really?
Yeah, so there is no loss.
Okay. Wow. So we have to make sure that Facebook fam, you have Deliza's information so you can reach out to her and find out how to get that kind of coverage, right? So again, going back with critical illness. So as well, like you said, you can have a life-threatening type of illness, but to be able to supplement, is it a way to supplement that income?
Absolutely.
You know, at that time when we're dealing with critical illness and that person can't go back to work?
That is, absolutely. And we often refer to that as income replacement insurance, and it's for the insured. Critical illness, it covers everything from stroke, heart attack, major organ transplant, renal failure, also known as double kidney failure, as well as cancer. And so if an individual were to experience one of those things, and many people survive the heart attack, many people survive the stroke, and they're up and running, going about their daily lives, but they have these incredibly large medical bills right behind them. And so it would be great if there was something out there that could pay me $10,000 to $100,000 if I ever were to experience one of these critical illnesses. And that's exactly what a critical illness plan does. It pays out immediately. Many times workers' compensation or disability insurance has a blackout period of like 90 days of permanent to 80% disability before it starts to pay out. With a critical illness policy, you are under contract with a life insurance company. They are legally obligated to pay you what the contract promised that they would pay you immediately. And so once you provide the documentation that it was a legitimate heart attack, stroke, so on and so forth, kidney damage and all that, then they would pay you $10,000 to $100,000. A lot of people are thinking, well, my insurance is going to take off a huge chunk of that to pay off those medical bills. Well, the truth is, the insurance company is going to pay directly to you. It's not going to go through your job. It's not going to go through the hospital or any type of medical insurance company. It's not going to go through your doctor. It's going to go directly from the treasury of that life insurance company to your checking account.
So you were talking about the purpose, and you kind of highlighted a number of different purposes. You covered that as far as income replacement, mortgage rent protection.
Right.
Talk to us about generational wealth. How does insurance or having insurance allows a person to have generational wealth?
It's interesting. Statistics show that when there is a family, say a mother and a father, they have their own children, they leave maybe $100,000 for their children. Well, there's a 70% chance that the grandchildren, if they're not direct beneficiaries of the grandparents' financial accounts, 70% of the time, the money never reaches the grandchildren. It is used for various reasons and purposes on the children rather than the grandchildren. It never reaches the second generation. So when it comes to generational wealth, many people, it sounds great. They think it's for individuals who have a lot of money, but really it's for you and me. For example, a generational wealth, a family office, so to speak, can be started and carried on from generation to generation with a life insurance policy, with a family investment account, with an indexed annuity. And it's where everyone can pitch in, or one individual can put in a little money at a time, to where the account grows, whether it's the cash value or even the dividends account in a life insurance policy, whether it's the investment account or whether it's an annuity, to where one generation gets 10%, but the second generation, the grandchildren, they get 10%. And then the great-grands get 10%. And as the generations are accepting this money, whether it's annually or lump sum or monthly or whatever, it is still applied to an index like the S&P 500, or it's still applied to the performance of the life insurance company. You know, you may be thinking the performance of a life insurance company, well, companies get bought and sold all the time. Well, I can say very proudly, with Western and Southern, we've been around since 1888, and we have 14 companies underneath our name. And in 2018, we acquired Gerber Life Insurance. So when you see Gerber Life Insurance, you're seeing my company, Western and Southern.
The baby insurance?
Yes, the baby, the cutest insurance.
Listen, so we have a new term, so we were introduced. So some dividends.
Dividends, yes. All right, so dividends, what are dividends? Dividends are money. It's money that is awarded to an investor. For example, you give, let's say Microsoft, $100. So you buy $100 worth of Microsoft stock. Well, that's great. So, you know, you give them $100 and give you a piece of paper called a stock. But the value of it, sure, you can sell that stock for another $100, you break even. But what if the Microsoft, they decide to say, you know what, you allowed us to use this $100. We actually made, let's say $200 off of your $100. So we're going to pay you maybe 8% dividends. So that 8% dividends would be the $80 that they would pay you off of the $100 of profit that they made. That $80 that Microsoft pays to you is called dividends.
All right, now dividends.
Dividends divided out. Yeah.
Let me. I guess just your feedback here, because some people are probably saying, you know, I have life insurance through my job.
My job, yeah.
You know, so what is the benefit and what can happen is just give us some different scenarios. You can have life insurance on your job, but you recommend also to have outside insurance, and why is that?
Okay, so having life insurance on the job is a great advantage for someone. I always encourage people, if the job offers you life insurance, go ahead and take it. Yeah. Usually it's do a payroll withdrawal, something like that. You won't even notice that just out of the check. And then as an individual works a job and say they stay at the same job until they reach retirement, well, of course they get the party, they may get a watch or something, but then you notice that your benefits are cut in half. You look at your life insurance and it used to be like 1 or 2 or 3 years annual salary, or it could have been $10,000, and now it's cut to $5,000. And right now you're 67 years old. And you say, well, $5,000 life insurance, it used to be $40,000, but now it's $5,000. That's not enough. And so you say, life insurance lady, can you help me get some insurance? And so I say, okay, no problem. How old are you? I'm 67 years old. Do you smoke? Yes, I do. Okay. Do you currently have any other health conditions? I got diabetes and high blood pressure. The type of policy that I can get for them is not going to get them the large benefit that they need for the premium that they can comfortably give every month. And so they can still get life insurance through our guaranteed issue policies. But if they were to start a job, get the life insurance that their job offered, and get something outside of their job as a safety net, then when they do retire, of course they will still have that $5,000 from their job, but they will also have $300,000, $400,000. Some people even get $1 million life insurance on themselves. And that's with Western and Southern. The premiums, they never increase. And the benefit amount, it never decreases. You freeze it in your 30s, in your 20s, in your 40s, and it never increases, no matter how your health changes over the years. So it's always good to have a safety net outside of a place of work.
Deliza, you mentioned a couple of things. You talked about, diabetes, heart disease, some of the different things that plague definitely the African American community. But when it comes to wellness, are there any benefits from an insurance perspective when it comes to wellness, as far as a person being able to really take care of themselves, eating right, exercising, etc.? Any type benefits that's offered from an insurance perspective when a person is doing that?
Okay, say someone, just exaggerate, say someone is a triathlon runner. They eat nothing but carrots and drink water all day. Their blood pressure is perfect, their blood sugar, everything is perfect, right? Picture of health. Well, when you come to a life insurance company and you say, I'm in great shape, they look at your medical history, they may even do a blood test, things like that, and they see that you are what we call super preferred. A super preferred individual gets what we call a discount in the life insurance policy because there's such low risk. So that is one of the benefits that we have for individuals who are quite young. And usually, it's usually teenage girls. They usually get the lowest premiums. The math works out that way. Women in general usually get lower premiums because they statistically are proven to live longer than men and be healthier than men. And so teenage girls get like next to baby levels of life insurance premiums. Yeah.
Super preferred, Facebook fam.
Super preferred.
Are you super preferred? Or are you super deferred? I don't know.
But don't worry.
Which one are you? Either one, you can still get coverage, right?
Mm-hmm. People in their 40s, they get super preferred. They're in great shape. They take care of themselves. Also, nobody wants to hear this, but genetics play a huge part. Some people just genetically stay healthy, muscular, thin, so jealous. But yeah, but even if you do have even genetic predispositions to things that are totally outside of your lifestyle, then we have available policies for you. And sometimes someone may not get super preferred. They may get a standard rating, and which is something that'll get you the standard equation applied to your life insurance policies. Mm-hmm.
Thank you so much, Facebook fam. I tell you, listen, we're getting ready to move forward into a break so we can come back with the next two topics that we're going to have Deliza talk to us about. But this first part and this first half, and we've delved into a lot of information. It's been very, very educational. And so talked about the purpose of insurance, permanent versus term, cash value, accidental death, and also critical illness. And then we talked about being super preferred, and then that was my word. I added super deferred. So that was not a part of her language. That was mine, Facebook fam. Okay, guys, so we're going to take a quick break, and we're going to pay some bills here, and then we're going to come back and finish part 2 as we talk about retirement planning and saving and investment. Welcome back, Facebook fam. This is your host, Shelly. Conversations with Shelly this afternoon, and we are talking about it. Yes, money matters. Go fund you. And we're talking about different ways that you can do that, right? How you can fund yourself and be proactive and make sure that you have financial stability and that you have something to be able to leave for your family members and that you have the appropriate insurance policies. And we've been sitting here, I'm telling you guys, with our special guest on Conversations with Shelly, Deliza. And she is a registered representative for you guys who have just joining us, representing representative with a Series 6 finance license who enjoys informing families about their present financial opportunities. So we talked about insurance overview, and we went through a number of things there,
Yes,
as far
we
as
did.
term and permanent, critical illness. We talked about accidental death. And so the second part, Facebook fam, we're going to talk about, well, Deliza is going to talk about retirement planning and also saving and investing. So let's talk about a little bit about retirement planning. I was, as I mentioned earlier, I was talking to Philip. In your company, Western and Southern. Yes, I actually have some investments with you guys. And so as I was talking with Philip, we were talking about a person being on their own. You're basically on your own. And we talked about this a little bit, part one, when we were saying, with companies folding, you might have insurance, have your job one day and not the next. And so what are you going to do? And you have to make sure when it comes to retirement that you're starting early as early as possible when you start a job, but even you can start now, right?
Yes,
so talk to us a little bit about retirement planning.
Okay, so retirement planning. When I speak to someone, no matter what their age is, and we get into the retirement section of the conversation, I always start out with this question. What is your retirement vision? Because if you don't have a vision, how can you plan around it? So people usually say something like, I want to travel, or I want to spend more time with my grandchildren, or I want to start this business, my dream business, or I want to fill in the blank, go fishing, go hunting, so on and so forth. So, okay, so that's your vision. It's like, think about that. You can smell the seaweed in the ocean if you like to do the deep sea fishing. You can sense that your grandchildren are building a bonding connection with you, so on and so forth. So you got that vision in your mind? It's like, yes, that's your retirement vision. Yes, all right. Now, what are you doing now to make that dream come true? And this is where they go, mum. It's like, well, I got a job, putting money away. It's like, okay, that's great. And so when it comes to planning for retirement, there is a very structured way that you can go about it. However, it's not standard. It's different for every person. And if a person's married, it's different for every couple. And if they have children, it's different for every family. And this is where the financial representative gets to show their true value to an individual. They go the distance and they ask them questions about what you want to have such and such years from now, what you want your children to have if you're not here, what do you want to do when you do reach that retirement age, and what is your retirement age? And so with all this information, we call it a profile built out. We'll see where they are, where they want to be, and the best also, usually it's the most tax efficient way to get to their retirement dream.
Wow, when you're talking about retirement, as you said, a lot of us, we depend on Social Security is going to come through, for us. So is Social Security enough?
I can't say yes or no to that, but what I can say, look at individuals whose only income is Social Security. Is it enough for them? And many times they can honestly say, I could definitely use more. Or I have to ask family and friends to help me out month to month. For many, it's not quite enough. That is correct.
Yeah. So I know there's different, investment vehicles when it comes to retirement. Can you break some of those down? And I know with our company, there's 401ks.
Yes.
But also, can you talk to us? I know I've heard a lot about IRAs as well. So how does those two differ? And then how can they be a benefit?
Okay, so the 401k, everybody's heard of it, but basically 401ks, they can be started individually, but usually it's started by a company. And the reason why that is because starting a 401k individually can be rather expensive due to the management fees, so on and so forth, because it's usually a high-performing type of investment account. When it's a high-performing type of investment account, you want the most in-tune financial managers, also known as fund managers, making sure that they have their finger on the pulse of the index and make sure that your money is used to the best of its ability. And that's a 401k provided by the employer because they can actually afford to pay the commission fees and the scheduling fees and so on and so forth for those financial managers. Now, many people have a job where they are offered a 401k, but many say, that's taking out too much of my check. I'm not getting that 401k. They can forget that. That's how they get you. It's like, no, you are leaving money on the table because what they don't either take the time to explain to individuals coming into a new job is whatever dollar you put in, we match it.
Yes.
So instead of one person putting money away into an investment account, it's yourself and your employer putting in money into that investment account. So once you do reach retirement age or do your 5 years where you're fully vested or whatever, then you say, wait a minute, I certainly did not put in that much money. It was the company matching your dollars, your after-tax dollars, that made that 401k grow. Also,
so Deliza, so are you telling me, if you're telling me that my company is paying me to save, so they're paying me to save. So if I give $10, if I do $20, you say match. So if I put $20 on the table, they're going to give me $20 free dollars.
Yeah. That's why it's called a benefit. It's an employee benefit. Well, this is my business degree coming out, but the company appreciates the fact that they can attract educated talent like yourself or very skilled talent in whatever way like yourself. And so they're going to show you how much they really want to keep you by giving you these tax efficient benefits like a 401k. So whatever you put in, we're going to match it. And then the good news is whatever money is in that 401k, even though your company may go down or get bought out or whatever, that 401k money is separate from your employer's treasury. It's held with an investment bank or a life insurance company or some other financial institution that is outside of your employer.
So which means if you happen to leave that company, then that those dollars can roll over, correct?
You definitely can roll over your 401k,
Okay.
absolutely, yes.
So I like in some of the benefits, because definitely I've been able to take advantage of that myself, as far as being able to first-time home buyer, or actually being able to have a down payment on a home, and also being able to borrow. Again, you were talking about that earlier with your insurance policy, but with 401ks, you can actually borrow money from yourself and then pay yourself back as well.
Yes.
You know, at that same rate. Yeah.
Usually you can borrow 10% before the age of 59 and a half without getting hit with fees. Yeah, 10% of your 401k. So you mentioned IRA. People call it an IRA. It stands for Individual Retirement Account. And that's where you can put in what we call pre-tax dollars or post-tax dollars into an account that is applied to an index and gains interest. Individuals, they enjoy this type of investment for their retirement because, you know, your 401k, they may have limits on your job. Say you're a high income earner or you're in a 2 or 3 income household. Many households today, they have the 2 adult parents and an adult child living in the same household, so there's 3 incomes coming in. And so you say, you know, I'm pretty good there, but I just want to make sure that I have enough. I'm looking at the quarterly documents that they're mailing out to me or whatever, and it's not growing as much as I thought it would be by this time. Maybe I should open up an IRA, see what that's about. And so opening up an IRA gives you the freedom to invest more so it can be applied and grow larger. And sometimes an individual is a conservative investor. Maybe they're moderate and maybe they're aggressive. So an individual who may have a 401k, that may be so conservative that it doesn't grow as fast as you would like it to. But say you are actually more moderate or aggressive, then you can get an IRA in which you do the profile and you test as moderate and aggressive. Put your money toward those type of indexes and companies and equities and bonds, things like that, and treasury notes. And then that way you can grow your money as fast as you want to. Also, it's a way to protect your money as well. A lot of people think that, oh, it's all about growth, but no. Investment accounts, whether it's an IRA or 401k, it's all about protecting what you put in, also called your principal, and then growing your principal, your interest. It's kind of like a reverse loan, how, you know, you pay off the principal, but you pay off the interest first. But with investment, you pay your principal, and then you also get interest.
So how was some people are risk averse and they're not, they're definitely are not comfortable taking that leap. But as an advisor, what would you tell them to do? Can they be able to split? Will they be able to split some of their investments and try, something like an IRA, or try more risky investments and still stay with some investments where they feel more comfortable and they're not going to lose as much? What are your thoughts?
You are describing the perfect moderate.
Okay.
They are in between super conservative and super aggressive. There's like moderately aggressive, moderately conservative in between, but that's a perfect moderate right there. You can put it in an account that will be applied to companies and other financial vehicles that will protect your money, your principal, and give it the chance to actually grow. And that is what moderate is, yeah. And say an individual doesn't want any risk whatsoever, we have availabilities for them as well. We call that a fixed indexed annuity. It's where it's guaranteed interest rate. Maybe it's 1% or 2% that's guaranteed every year. And say, for example, the stocks do very poorly, it will never fall below 0%. So say we have another Great Depression, even worse than a Great Recession again, then that account, it will never be negative. It may be zero, but it will never go below zero.
So going back to the IRA, so is there a certain amount, a minimum amount investing that you have to get an IRA? What's the minimum amount to invest in?
It depends on which company you go to. Some open up IRA accounts or IRA accounts at $5,000 starting, or $3,000 starting, or at $800 a month, or at $100 a month. It depends on which one you go to. For example, if you want to open up an IRA, maybe it's $2,500 to open it up. Absolutely. But say someone doesn't have $2,500. Say that someone is doing this for their grandchild who's not even working yet. Then that's where the mutual fund comes in. Or that's when an indexed annuity comes in, where you could put money into a financial account and it be applied to the stock market. And that can be applied just for a mutual fund, $100 a month. Sometimes less than $100 a month, depending. But with an annuity, I think the minimum is about $3,000 starting, and then whatever amount after that.
I like that because that gives a balance. Because I know some Facebook fam, some of us are listening and you're saying, wow, I don't have $2,500 to be able to invest, but you have something. And it's kind of figuring out where you start and being able to offer the appropriate investment vehicle to be able to do that. And Deliza, and her, I'm sure our production team is sharing her contact information. You reach out to her, she'll be able to tell you exactly, based on the money that you have, what you will be able to do. And so lastly, as we're talking about the retirement planning piece, you had highlighted that there are benefits and pitfalls. Yeah. And I think one of the things I wanted to highlight, because I know some people feel, hey, I didn't start, I didn't know, and I didn't start when I was early, but I'm later on in life. Is it still a benefit to try to do some investing, at this time? Maybe you're in your 50s. You're 55 or 60 years old.
You may be surprised that the majority of my clients are in their 50s and their 60s. And so say someone say that, I thought I'd be better off, more financially stable by now, but turns out I'm not. Is it too late for me? And the answer is no. Once you approach a financial representative like myself and they read your entire profile, they see what time horizon you're on, and that's just a way to say current age, then they'll be able to adjust what type of strategy to go about, whether it be conservative, a moderately conservative, moderate, and that way we wouldn't risk losing any principal. If anything you do lose, then it will be made up very quickly due to the nature of the account that they have you in, like a conservative or a moderate account. And so, you put $1 in, and then maybe in about 5, 10, say a person's 50 and they plan on retiring at 67, so they have 17 years to have maybe a 3.5 to 5% interest applied to their account. And so that is definitely going to give them more at the age of 67 than they would have gotten if they would put that same money under the mattress, or in a savings account, or in a certificate of deposit, also known as a CD, or a checking account, or buried in the backyard.
Facebook family. Knowledge is power, and it's what you do with that knowledge that gives you the result that you're looking for. And it's never too late. And I know life happens to all of us. And I know there's different situations, and I wanted to kind of talk to you about single women and about single men and, also divorcees as well, where you had an expectation of you and that partner had planned certain things. And then because of the divorce now, some of them go for your 401k and get the money out there. And so you're starting over. And I guess what I'm trying to say is that you can start where you are. What was is was, but where are you now? Start asking questions today. You can start today, and make sure you reach out to Deliza. She'll be able to help you to build a profile, get specific details, and look at your needs and tell you what you'll be able to do. We have to go fund ourselves. Go fund you. Not looking for other people to fund us, but we can do it ourselves. With the right information, the right knowledge, and someone helping us walk through it, we can do this, Facebook fam. We don't always have to look for a handout and depend on someone else. Depend on yourself and look at what you have coming through your hands and figure out how you can do it. And a lot of times we are fearful to do particular things because we don't have the knowledge. We feel we're ignorant to the fact. There's a lot of things I'm ignorant to, but until I find someone else that knows it, they know it. So now I'm not going to be ignorant anymore because I'm learning it from them. Okay, it's about getting with people, and I know Robin said that know what you don't know. If you get with those people, know what you know, that's good. But then get with somebody who knows something that you don't know. That's why I'm getting with Miss Deliza right here, because she knows some stuff that I don't know. Okay, but being able to sit down with her and build a profile, and like I did with your manager, to build the profile,
Yes.
I was able to tell him what my needs are, and he was able to interpret that and say, this is what you need to do based on your current situation. And I'm glad I had that conversation, guys. So have the conversation. Don't be afraid. Don't be afraid of being ignorance and saying you don't know what questions to ask. Deliza will walk you through that. So reach out, okay? Reach out. So the last part that we're going to talk about before we bring this to a close, this has been great, and then we open it up for Q&A. We'll see if we have any questions for our Facebook fam. And so what I would like for us to do is move over into the savings part and in investing part. If you can talk to us a little bit about that.
So saving and investing, many people, they can think back to their childhood and they say, when I was little, $1 could buy you a push pop from the gas station. Well, now it takes $1.50 to get that done, sometimes $2.50, depending on which gas station you go to. So that change in how $1 can buy you one thing back then and $1 can buy you a lot less now, that's called inflation. Saving and investing helps an individual's hard-earned money to beat inflation. Say, for example, someone were to put in maybe $300 a month from the household, and at the end of a year, they want to have more than just 300 times 12. They want to have more than $3,600 in there. They want to have $4,000 in there. Well, the only way that can happen is when you apply that same money to an interest rate. And that can be through what we went over before, indexed annuity. It can be through a mutual fund. It can also be through a life insurance policy. For example, say an individual, they get a life insurance policy and it's for, let's say, $45 a month. Well, they put in one single payment of $45,000 for a $50,000 policy. Say the worst thing happens and the person doesn't come home that evening, they passed away. Well, that $45, that single payment, just purchased the entire family $50,000.
Wow.
The life insurance company is legally obligated to give the beneficiaries of that insured person's policy that $50,000, either by check in the mail or a direct deposit. And so that is a way to beat inflation. An individual may not have the financial means to put away $100 a month, but they do have the opportunity to make sure that their loved ones are left with a will rather than a won't in the form of a life insurance policy and put away $45, $35 a month. And that's exactly something that we can do to help families beat the rate of inflation.
You said a will and not a what?
A won't.
A won't. So you leave them a will and not a won't.
Yes.
All righty. That's interesting. So I'm going to leave that right there because my mind, I hear certain things, my mind start going somewhere. A will and not a won't. All righty. Woo. All right, Facebook fam. Go fund you. A will and not a won't. All right, we talked about mutual funds.
Yes.
We talked about the college saving plan. Go a little bit more into that because, I know we have some, our young people that are listening, and I know I have some nephews and nieces. They got some little babies and stuff coming.
Yes.
And I want them to understand if they can start now, like, putting something away, for that child that it can benefit them in the long term when they get ready to go off to college. So how can they get involved in doing something like that?
Okay, so a 529 college savings plan, it's structured a lot like a mutual fund, rather a conservative mutual fund. So it's money that you put away every month or all at one time that's applied to an interest-bearing index. And over time, the individual who is the beneficiary or the annuitant of that 529 college savings plan can receive that income. So, for example, little Andre, he's a year old now, but 17 years later, he's going off to college. He needs financial, provisions to pay for books, to pay for room and board because he's going out of state, to pay for his what you call lab fees, equipment fees, things like that, because he's going into media production. Well, that 529 college savings plan that his family put together for him when he was 1 year old that didn't even know about can be paid out little by little to cover those very specific needs. A lot of people out there are saying, well, my 18-year-old grandchild, Andre, no way he's going to use that money for his school. He's going to spend it on himself. But with the 529 college savings plan, it specifically is used for educational expenses and not for everyday purchases, splurges, things like that. So it gives a parental control over that money for the child who has that 529 college savings plan. And also, it's not just for children. People can get a 529 plan for themselves as well. It's something, say for example, little Andre, he doesn't go to college. Maybe he goes into the military, and he doesn't need to have his educational expenses financed through anyone except, the U.S. government. So say, you was like, well, I guess we forfeit the money. He's not going to college, but that money can be used for another person who is going into university or into a trade school. It's not stuck with the person that you originally wrote their name in the blank space. It can be used for anybody, including yourself.
Good stuff. There were a couple of things. I know we talked about IRAs, but there's something you called out here as far as a Roth IRA. Can you give us the difference in that?
Well, there's a traditional IRA, and then there's a Roth IRA. So, the traditional IRA, it is money that you put into it that hasn't been taxed yet. So, say for example, you get paid maybe $20 an hour, and so you put $20 in there for 1 hour of work, and so that is like a payroll deduction, so to speak. So that $20 would go into the traditional IRA, but that $20 hasn't been taxed yet. There's no FICA coming out of that. There's no income tax or Social Security coming out of it. It's just it's $20. So when you do take that money out, it's going then to be taxed, whether it is 15 years from now, if you're starting at the age of 50 or whatever. When you finally do start taking out withdrawals, either a little at a time or all at once, whatever your tax bracket is at that age, that's when, and that's how much that traditional IRA pre-tax money is going to be taxed. Now, compared to a Roth IRA, say you get paid $20 an hour, but you really get paid $15 in your pocket, for the hour. So you put in that $15 into your Roth IRA. So when you do reach retirement and you start taking a little at a time or all at once, then that money's already been taxed. You're not going to be taxed twice. The only thing you're going to be taxed on is the growth from the interest that it was applied to. Say your Roth IRA had 8% interest, you're just going to be taxed according to your current tax bracket, which is usually lower in retirement years than you were in your working years, to that 8% of growth and not the entire account. A lot of people do prefer that over the traditional Roth or traditional IRA, and it just depends on if you want to be taxed now or later.
And there's penalties also. I don't know, we talked about that, but there are also penalties when it comes to certain accounts, investment accounts. There's penalties if you withdraw the money early.
Yes, there are. But it's say, for example, you're 45 and you all of a sudden have a hardship and you need to take money out of that IRA, whether it's Roth or traditional. It's usually about a 20% fee, 20% penalty coming out of whatever you withdraw from your IRA. Yes.
And I know during COVID, actually, so I think there was some suspension as far as delay.
Yes.
As far as, with...
under the CARES Act?
Yeah, under the CARES Act, where you could withdraw up to like $100,000.
Yes.
Yeah, out of your 401k, but it's deferred as far as that tax that's going to hit that at a couple of years. I don't know how many.
It's about 10 years.
Yeah,
It's deferred.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
And that was incredibly generous.
Yes.
I'm not sure who got together and made that happen, but when I saw that and the other people in my office were like, wow, this is not to say that the government can't give us a bone, but that's pretty generous of them. And the pandemic is not going to last forever. That CARES Act stipulation, that's going to go away, and then whatever hardship that you may come upon in which you may want to be penalized less, it's going to depend on your employer and the company, the investment bank or whatever, that is handling your 401k or your IRA or your pension or so on and so forth.
Wow, good stuff. One last item before we move into, we have a number of queue questions, and I just want to make sure we've covered everything. But you had highlighted here guaranteed income annuities, and I know you talked about that. But I don't know, did you go into detail about the guaranteed income piece of it? already?
So a guaranteed income annuity. First, we're going to start off with the word guaranteed. Yes, there is such a thing as guarantee when it comes to financial planning. Okay. And so the income, that aspect from the annuity is when you structure it to pay you a certain amount of money, or to pay a loved one a certain amount of money every week, every month, every quarter, every 6 months, or every year. And that's where it's a guaranteed, scheduled amount of income that is being received from that annuity during what we call the annuitization phase of an annuity. There's the accumulation phase where money is being put into the annuity, and then there's the annuitization phase. And if you schedule it to where it's a nominal amount, maybe it's a percentage, then that's where it becomes a guaranteed income annuity.
All right. So, Facebook fam, we're getting ready to bring our conversation today to a close. Money Matters, Go Fund You. And I tell you, Deliza, you have given some awesome in-depth information on this conversation topic today.
It was a pleasure.
Yes, but we're not finished. Okay, we have some Facebook fam. They have jumped in and they're asking questions they want to know. So listen, our first question that we have from my sister Melissa Perry Harris: how do you know how much insurance you need?
Okay, so there's two different methods. Say, for example, some people, they do the formula of 2 to 5 years of your current income. That's a way to determine how much you would need. For example, say, the loss of income after a person passing. Do we want to go for 2 years without feeling the financial loss? Or do we want to go 5 years without feeling that financial loss? There's one aspect. And then the second method to determine how much an individual needs with regards to life insurance is to see what their current obligations are. When it comes to financing the children's education, whether it comes to what's remaining on their house mortgage or their rent, what their personal loans are, auto loans, their own tuition debt, things like that, all the current need. And then you see what the gap is, what the shortfall is. And so that's another way to determine how much life insurance you need. Both of them, they do work. Some people prefer one method over the other. The second method I described was more like a needs analysis, and the other method was basically just a multiplier of income.
Gotcha. So, Melissa, you heard those answers from Deliza. Our next question: what are typical things that insurance companies use to determine how much you will pay for insurance? Okay,
so the typical things are your current age. The younger you are, the less expensive it is. The second thing is your level of health. If you have, say, high numbers, high BP, high blood sugar, if you have a history of even seizures or any type of organ dysfunction, any type of medical history, that's going to be the second thing. And it's not really the existence of that, it's more like the treatment. Many life insurance companies, they understand that people have high BP, they're on insulin, whatever, but are their medical conditions being treated by a physician? If they're not, then you consider at a much higher risk of someone who has the same medical condition, but they are being treated by a licensed medical professional. So they're considered lower risk. And then the third thing is lifestyle. Are you a race car driver? Do you like to bungee jump? Are you really into Shark Week and you get in the cage with the sharks? No, I'm not today, sir. You're going to have to be a little bit more boring for us to insure you because your risk is over the top. So lifestyle also has something to do with it as well.
And so as far as that payment, that's going to be determined based off of those different things, what that payment's going to be monthly.
It's all about lifestyle, yeah.
So is there a credit benefit to life insurance?
So yeah, a credit benefit. Oh, okay. So say, for example, someone has a term life insurance policy, and when it comes to credit, it's not guaranteed, but I haven't seen many cases where there wasn't an insurance credit. For example, somebody has a term life insurance policy, and it was for 20 years, but they decided to convert it to a permanent life insurance policy in 5 years. Well, there's something called conversion credit. Since you were such a great individual to work with, there was no extensive hiccup in making your payments, there were no prolonged lapses, things like that, then you have conversion credit. So when you apply that conversion credit to where you convert your term policy to a permanent policy, you may not have to pay any premiums on your new permanent policy for like 2 to 3 months because of that conversion credit kicked in.
All right, so let's keep going. Our audience is on fire. Can you use the life insurance, this is from Melissa Harris again, for someone on a medical leave? And if so, is there a penalty?
So when it comes to medical leave, there are certain enhancements to a life insurance policy. For example, say someone is the owner of their policy and they are on disability. Well, there's the disability rider, to where if a person is on disability and they show that their disability papers to their insurance company, then they will cease collecting premium payments for their life insurance policy. That's something that you have to ask for separately. It's not built into the policy. But if your current level of health or family history, individuals seem to be on disability around this time, you may want to ask for that enhancement to your life insurance policy, the disability waiver.
Ms. Darlene Chambers asked a question. Can you explain how a viatical account works, and does your company handle this type of account?
When it comes to viatical accounts, that's something that many life insurance companies do not do. It's something that they typically don't recommend. Those particular type of financial transactions are done by viatical companies specifically. They're at two opposite ends of the spectrum. One is about helping an individual or family gain life insurance, a life insurance company, and a viatical company is all about buying a person's life insurance policy to where they are a beneficiary on the policy, and they would receive, if not all, then a certain percentage of the death benefit when the insured person passes away. So basically, a viatical company is where they get the owner of the policy to agree to be a beneficiary. For when the insured does pass away, that viatical company receives some, if not all, of the death benefit.
And that person, so it's basically, so if you say like a $100,000 policy, let's just give a number on a $100,000 policy. Somebody has terminally ill disease, and they know they're going to pass away in a certain period of time. And so what you're doing is giving that person the opportunity to take that money and live off of that money and whatever they want to do at that time. And then once that person passes away, then the person who invested in that viatical was able to get the benefit from that.
Right. The individual who does agree to have a viatical company as a beneficiary, they get some money right away. And so say, you're looking at a viatical option for yourself. You're in that situation and you need the money right away, and you're looking at a viatical company to give you a certain lump sum right away, and then they get the rest when you do pass away. That is something that is illegal. It's something that's not recommended by people on the other side of the spectrum. But a way to circumvent that is with Western and Southern, we have a built-in enhancement called accelerated death benefit. Say, for example, just like you mentioned, someone has a terminal illness. They're given 12 months or less to live. With Western and Southern, we can advance you up to 40 to 60% of your total life insurance policy benefit right away, so that you can do the things that you want to do before you say your final goodbyes.
Oh, wow. Okay. So, Darlene, reach out to Deliza so you can get that information. One other, we have some more questions. Someone said, I need to make an appointment. That's what
all right.
So I'm sure our production team will share your information so they can know how to reach out to you directly. I'm sure you're going to have some individuals reaching out to you after today's conversation. So we have some more questions. I want to get to everyone's questions here, guys. Give me a moment. Should one take their pension as an annuity or a lump sum?
It depends on how you want to be taxed on it. For example, some people, they like the fact that they can receive a little bit of their pension at a time over maybe 10 years or so. And then some people say, I don't want to wait 10 years. It's my money. I want my money right now. So they go for the lump sum. And so if you decide to go for a lump sum, if you decide to go for the annuity, before you leave that company, or, say you already left the company, I would contact the investment bank or whatever institution that is handling that your employer's pension account. It's usually not the employer. Say, what is the fine print? Is there a minimum or a maximum of time that I have to decide how I'm going to get my money back? Because if you wait after a certain number of days or weeks or months, then it's going to be automatically annuitized over the course of 10 years, and you lose out on the option of getting the lump sum. So it depends on how you want to receive your money. Yes. There's a lot of choice when it comes to finance.
Wow. All right. So one other question. How should one invest their money once they retire?
Okay, so when someone has already retired, then they're no longer bringing an income in the traditional sense to a job. They may have what we call properties, a passive income through rental properties, or they're getting paid a little at a time from investments, whatever. But read the question again to me.
It says, how should one invest their money once they retire?
It depends on the person.
Yeah.
No financial representative who is not looking at a very specific case with the client's permission can give you specifics. It would be reckless for an individual to give you needlepoint advice when finance is so personal to each individual. How should someone structure their income, or how should someone invest their money after they retire? You have to get with a professional like myself, a financial professional. They would do you the favor of learning who you are, what you want, and what you're going for. And then they can help map out a path to where you can invest after retirement. And if you see that investment really isn't for you, you want to more, say, annuitize what you've already worked for, then you can go that route as well. But the good news is there is an answer. And the best news is it's not standard. There's no right or wrong way to do it. I guess the only wrong way to do it is to not ask for help in the first place.
Wow. Go fund you. Your personal profile. It's personal.
It's personal.
Get with a financial advisor, get with Deliza, and make sure that she can work out that profile with you, so then you can know how you can invest your money when you retire. So we have another question, and I'm looking at, then this will be our last question here. If, James Scott, if I don't roll over my 401k, how long will it be safe in the account, or what time frame do I have to take it out and roll it over?
This is a great question. So when you do leave a company, but you still have a 401k with them, just know that no fresh money is being put into that 401k by yourself or by your employer. And oftentimes, it's taken off the management list. There's no fund manager looking over your money. There's no one moving your money from this account to that account, from, I guess you could say, the losing accounts to the winning accounts. There's no one moving the pieces, making sure that your money continues to grow. So what's the time frame in which you leave a company and your 401k is still there to continue making money? I say once you leave a company and you realize that you have the option to have that 401k money continue to grow, contact a financial professional, because they're the only ones who can roll over your money to you, whether it's in a bank or through a company like mine. And we can easily, for free, $0, 0 cents, roll over your 401k into something that will continue to be managed and continue to grow according to an interest rate.
So if someone worked with the company, let's say like 10 years or so, and they did their investment, and now the company is reaching out, you moved on, you've been away from that company over 20 years, and now the company has reached out to you and say, hey, you have this lump sum, about $30,000, et cetera, et cetera. You can either, I can pay you that lump sum now, or I can allow you to get paid like $100 and something, every month, right? And so with that, I am thinking, wait a minute, Facebook fam, wait. The Buccaneers won! Woo! Let's celebrate. Let's celebrate. Let's celebrate. Hey, Tampa Bay, the Buccaneers just won and beat Green Bay. Yes, woo! Super Bowl here in Tampa, Florida. The Buccaneers at the Super Bowl. Yes. All right, guys. Woo! But you know what? You got to make sure your finances is right. I don't know how many of you guys are going to be having Super Bowl parties and things like that. But just make sure we're celebrating. Woo! All right, we had to interrupt. For that one. We won. Yes. Woo! That was worth it. Yes. I was saying, I hope they won so I can be able to announce it on Conversation with Shelly. Yes. And so I'm a Bucks fan. You're a Bucks fan, and our production team, one of our members, a Bucks fan. Woo! All right, so we're going to bring this to a close. So as I was asking you about that, about the $30,000, and so you can either do a lump sum or they will pay you monthly like $100 and something for, as long as you live. So what would you recommend a person with that option do? Do you think they should put that in an IRA or, get with a financial advisor to figure out what should I do with that money now?
Okay, so say they want it annuitized. Well, every annuitization is going to be taxed according to their current tax bracket. So that's one thing to keep in mind. That's not good. That's not bad. It just depends on the recipient's lifestyle. However, if they were to do a lump sum, they have about 60 days to roll it over into a qualified account, like another 401k or an IRA, so on and so forth, so where it's not taxed according to your current tax bracket. It's just rolled over as untaxed money, and it continues to grow what we call tax deferred into that new account. So it just depends on what you want, what you need.
So someone is saying they should have had you on here 5 years ago, but Facebook fan, we have her now. So like we were saying, what's past is past, but what we can do is make sure that we do something now. So we have one other question. Someone just said, I just won $1,000 on the Bucks game. Should I invest it or roll it over and bet on the Super Bowl?
Oh my goodness. Okay, so you have a risk taker right here. This person has an aggressive, very adventurous relationship with money. They just want you to, I was going to mention whoever won that bag on that Bucks game. Talk to me, but he already is. So say, for example, he has $1,000 cash, and he is choosing to invest it or to bet it again. I'm going to say invest it. You might want to invest that because we don't know what's going to happen in the Super Bowl. We know what's going to happen, but we don't know what's going to happen. It's always good to, when you get a windfall like that, to put it somewhere where it's going to be protected and it's still going to grow. And it doesn't have to be the whole $1,000. It can be 50%, 40%, 20, 30%, so on and so forth. Just make sure that you're investing according to what your current needs and obligations are. You know, this is $1,000 that you didn't have a few minutes ago, so you might as well put it into something that's going to make it continue to grow outside of professional sporting events.
So treat it as if, like you said, it's not there. That's just like when you're paying off bills and things like that. You paid off a bill and you don't have a payment.
That takes a lot of discipline. It takes physical effort to take money that you just won and you're excited about, money that is so green and ready to be used for whatever you want to use it for.
So green and ready.
And you put it into something that's keeping you away from spending it, but it is growing for you. Your money is now working for you rather than you working for money. But
I like how you said it. Even, you know, you said this person is a risk taker, but even if they don't, you know, roll over or bet the $1,000 at least, you know, 50% of it. So if you save 50% or invest in, you know, with that 50%, you will have something versus if they invest if they bet the $1,000 and lose it, and then they have nothing, right?
We don't want to leave you with nothing. We want to leave you with options. You got 1,000 options right now. You can take 500 of those options, put it into an account where it's going to grow, and use that $500 more to you know, prove somebody wrong.
Facebook family, we have options. We have options. Let's live like we have options. Go fund you. Guys, this has been tremendous. Deliza, thank you so much for joining us here on Conversations with Shelly. It has been tremendous. Facebook fam, our guest, so honored to have you. The knowledge that you spit out on this conversation today was tremendous. And I know, Facebook fam, you can always go back and and listen to it. But matter of fact, you can reach out to Deliza yourself. Her contact information, I'm sure production team is sharing. Reach out to her directly and have her meet with you individually and map out a profile. Start today where you are. She will get with you, and I'm telling you, it will be the best decision that you have made. This is a new year. Remember my mantra, get some in 21. And I told you guys, whatever that means, we got to start doing things differently if we want to have different, right? And so we're bringing the information to you, but you got to do something with the information. So it's free. We're giving you the information. What are you going to do? It's your choice. What are you going to do about your own life? Go fund you. Go fund yourself. Stop looking for somebody else to do it for you. You go fund you. And there are ways that you can do it that will reach within the budget that you do have. Like we were saying earlier, some people might not have $2,500, but you might have $50. And you might have to cut that cable off and then put that little, what is it called, a little extension?
Oh, the bunny ears?
Yeah, the bunny ears. You might have to put the bunny ears up and just get basic cable or basic television, you know, so you can use that money to invest, guys. So I'm telling you, do what you need to do to make sure that you are funding yourself. Go fund you. All right. And so again, Deliza is a registered representative with the Series 6 finance license who enjoys informing families about financial opportunities, and she works for Western Southern.
Yes.
In Lakeland, right? You guys are housed in Lakeland.
Our regional office, our regional office or branch is in Lakeland, but we have branches all around the United States, and our headquarters is in Cincinnati, Ohio.
Good stuff. All right, Facebook fam. Anything else you would like to leave? One last thought or tip with our Facebook audience before we leave?
Oh, I just want to say, go Bucks! And if you did win money on this game, please talk to me. You don't have to give it all to me into an investment account. At least half, 30%, 40%, and we can make this money, this victory, continue to grow.
All right. You guys heard it. You heard it straight from Ms. Deliza. Again, Facebook fam, thank you so much. Thank you so much, everyone, for joining Conversations with Shelly. Money matters. We're going to continue on this series. Go Fund You. It's your life. Take it in your hands and take control of it. You don't just have to always accept what's there. You can do something about it. So do something about it. Do something about your finances and get a call to Deliza so she can help you. Help yourself.
Thank
All
you.
right, Facebook fam, thank you again for joining us. And guys, we'll see you guys next week on Conversation with Shelly at 5 o'clock. Have a good afternoon. Remember, I love you, but God loves you best.